All right, we're getting started in just a second, everyone. Welcome to Morning Coins with John and Chaz. We're going to do our Cardano review show, and we have Damon Ramsey in here from Cleveland Bocks, also a proponent of the... Sorry, everyone, if you got double audio for a minute. The internet is a little slow over here today. So, like I said, this is Morning Coins with John and Chaz. I think this is episode 29. Am I right, Chaz?
You are, sir.
Woo!
We just keep piling them on.
We are. Welcome, everyone. And like I said, we have a special guest today, so this will be a different episode. You guys might notice that our TV overlay is gone. You just see our Zoom window. Nothing fancy. But yeah, we're going to do a Cardano review again. Damon was nice enough to we make him watch Morning Coins in order to be on here. That's what we do with all of our guests. How's it going, Damon?
It goes.
Good. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to this show. So let's get right into it. You tell us a little bit about your kind of history with the blockchain, and give the Steamians out there your resume so they know whether or not they want to tune in.
Well, let's see. It goes back to 1984 with an Apple IIe. Had myself an open source bulletin board system focusing on computers, networking, and everything like that. Let's just call it that. Did some more exploration using a 300 baud modem, super fast, of course. So I was a 300 baud god. But basically, from 84 to 87, I focused on computers, networking, going through high school and everything. After that, to stay out of trouble, I joined the U.S. Navy, aced out on the ASVAB, became a cryptologic technician, working for the Naval Security Group, basically doing deployed combat crypto, which is a classified operations aboard a destroyer. After the Navy got out, ended up becoming a manager for AT&T, where I learned end-user systems, doing networking, computer systems, programming, really cool business-to-business and also business-to-person. After that, I came back to Cleveland. It got a bit crazy in Silicon Valley before the internet. I should have stuck around. 94 was a great time to be in Silicon Valley. But came to Cleveland, ended up working for Department of Defense, Defense Finance and Accounting Service. You can see where things are laying here: computers, networking, cryptology, finance, accounting. After that, worked for Nestle and then Progressive, doing various things. But since my time in California, 93, 94, I ran into a lot of cool dudes in the Berkeley area as well as San Francisco. I was involved in the underground hack freak movement, if you will, in Northern California. 2600 meetings, Mondo 2000. This was all pre-Wired magazine. And a group started up called Cypherpunks. And basically, we were involved in cryptology, doing open source cryptography. All the mathematician PhDs were holding like meetups, if you will, in Berkeley. I'd come hang out, and it was a nice little group. So when I left, I made sure I subscribed to the mailing list when it came out on the internet, and I stayed in touch. And mid-2000s, I'd say around 2006, 2007, there was this nerdy noob, is what I called him. His nickname was Satoshi Nakamoto. And he started asking questions about this, that, and the other. And I could tell where he was going with stuff, because over the past 10, 15 years, people have been trying to put together an alternate currency based on cryptography, where instead of trusting a central banking system, you trust the map. But nobody could quite get it going. There was always weaknesses, missing things, and they ended up failing or just never being developed.
Okay.
So he comes along, gets all this information from all these people, from all these sources, and he finally puts together a white paper, read the white paper, and I'm like, wow, this is different. So from 2008 to 2010, in my spare time, working, 40 to 60 hours a week, I'd come home and help Satoshi get things fixed up, trying things on a LAN that I had to make sure it worked on an inside LAN before I put my IP on the internet. And we all operated under aliases, except the one guy, Hal Finney. He was the first one to send me Bitcoin to start testing out the public network, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So I did mining from June to August of 2010 till I blew my computer. I have about 1,003 Bitcoin, and I'm not going to give the exact amount. Otherwise, you could find the address. It's been inactive since 2012. A lot of things happened between 2010 and 2012 that made Satoshi jump out of the Bitcoin scene. I tried to help out as best I could, then I jumped out of it. Basically, it became monetized, and it became more important to invest in it like a stock or a bond rather than use it to buy pizzas, to buy a haircut, to buy a coffee. That was the whole intention, is using it peer-to-peer, not going through a centralized exchange like Wall Street, like banks and everything like that. So I got out of the crypto scene until 2016, jumped back in. Wow, a lot of stuff had changed in 4 years. Got caught up to speed and realizing everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody's jumping behind a cryptocurrency, hyping, pumping this, pumping that. And I'm like, there needs to be some education. So let's start local. Let's use the model that Bitcoin had, peer-to-peer, decentralized. And so I started Cleveland Blocks in July of 2017. Got in connection with other people interested in cryptography, networking, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and we've been meeting ever since. We have a monthly meeting, usually on the third Saturday of each month, Cleveland Public Library in the Legacy Room, and we have our 15th meeting coming up on November 17th. So if you go to Meetup Cleveland Blocks, you'll find us. And right now, my main thing is education, to make sure everybody understands what blockchain is and isn't, what cryptocurrency is and isn't, and address the needs. And basically anybody could stand up and make a presentation.
Awesome.
Wow.
Listen, there's so much to unpack there, right? There is so much to unpack. That is awesome. I mean, that's really cool.
Several shows just on Damon.
Yeah, no, please don't. I'm not egotistical like that.
It just might turn into Morning Coins with John, Chaz, and Damon when he's around.
Yeah, cool.
Either that, or it'll be like, hey Damon, why don't you tape me a segment? We're doing this, and it'll just be you like ranting a little bit, and then we'll play that over.
I'll just shut up and let you talk.
So Chaz, why don't you go first? Like, what's stuck out to you there, and like kind of what questions came up from you hearing that? Because I'll give you a little bit of a background. Damon, is like, I'm more of a broadcaster, media person. I don't really have that technologic background that you have, and I really just am excited about the possibilities of the industry as a whole. And, I have things that I'm interested in. I'm on Steam, obviously, one, because I do want to earn crypto. I think it's an interesting and easy platform for noobs to kind of dive in and learn what that looks like, because they have the SBD, the Steam, and then the Steam Power, and you can kind of understand and do transactions and learn that. But then I'm more of I wouldn't even say an investor, more so than an enthusiast who has money that I put in just in case things take off. But I like what you said earlier, is like just being able to transact, like being able to use that instead of currency. And I don't like fractional reserve banking. I don't like the way the current financial and economic system is set up. And so I do have hope that this space can make inroads into those areas. I think they are, but I think, like you said, there's a lot of scams, a lot of pump and dumps, a lot of projects coming along. But then I kind of got Chaz. I said, hey, Chaz, because Chaz is more of a financial guy, former banking guy, and has some good technical analysis that he does. But he's also a good writer and researcher. And I just said, hey, what are your thoughts on the cryptoverse and on blockchain technology? And he kind of dove in. And we just said, well, let's do a show where we do it weekly, and we just cover different coins, tokens, projects, platforms, and have a discussion. So with that, Chaz, I'll have you take it over and chime in.
Well, Damon, one thing you said there I found very interesting, and it was sort of an evolutionary part of Bitcoin. You said when it stopped becoming a payment and became an investment.
Yeah, and that's why Satoshi left, and that's why I left.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because you left, but now you're sort of back in and you like Cardano. What made you think that Cardano was a worthwhile project?
Well, I think of Bitcoin as basically blockchain 1.0. It set the standard. It finally got things to work together. Ethereum came out. That's basically blockchain 2.0, and it's number 2 as far as coin market capitalization and values on the exchanges. And with everything going on with the ICOs, instead of people helping to develop the blockchain itself, everybody's focused on making their own coin, making their own application, making their platform. And the smart contracts are kind of limited on Ethereum. And just over the past 2 years looking into it, I see basically people are separating instead of coming together to work on projects. One of the great things about Cardano, and I learned about it in summer of last year, 2017, and it was I was on the pre-mailing list before they released ADA. And one of the things is they're building blockchain 3.0 and basically working with a smart contract model, but expanding it out. So not only can you create your own currencies within the ecosystem, but also transact with other currencies through the settlement layer and use smart contracts to interact with other blockchains using the Cardano core. Now, this is something they were working on from 2015 to 2017 without anything out. They did the math, they did the development, they came out with a structure in 2017, released the ADA coin in September of 2017 at about 1.5, 2 cents. And yeah, it's 3.0. They're taking their time. They're doing it right. They're involving the cryptologists. They're involving the network specialists. They're involving the software devs. They're involving the blockchain programmers. And it's a global effort with a lot of professionals involved, with a lot of peer-to-peer review. And it is literally decentralized, both human and technology. And that is not shown anywhere else except the beginning days of Bitcoin. So they're doing what actually Satoshi originally wanted to do without the limitations of Ethereum, which is awesome.
You mentioned the settlement layer as a part of that, where they could do transactions with other tokens or other coins. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's going to be coming out. Well, I was going to go over everything, but basically that is where the transactions between, well, the ADA is used, as well as transactions on the smart contracts. Okay. Now, everything goes through the computation layer, which is the core. That's the Ouroboros that's building the blockchain within the Cardano environment. So it's that settlement layer that's most important. That's what the wallet uses. That's what the core uses. That's what all the nodes use. And right now they have a test net, which is called Byron. It's basically bootstrapping everything from beginning, getting all the kinks out before they go live with what's called Shelly in 2019. And that's going to be the live net using what's called Yele instead of the EVM like Ethereum, the Ethereum virtual machine.
You have Byron and Shelley. Do they just pick people's first names?
Well, that's historical, going to Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, basically the Victorian era steampunk around the difference engine and everything like that.
Gotcha.
And the cool thing is I love Greek mythology, Roman mythology, steampunk, all that jazz. And all of this stuff, Lady Ada, Cardano, a mathematician. You have Byron, Shelley, Yele, which is from Roman mythology, basically nymphs that of the sky and the woods. I was looking for what the acronym IELE meant, and then I came across Wikipedia. I'm like, oh, it's another cover name. So it's a lot of these nerds using historical references as names of the different systems in the ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Heck of a way to learn history, but whatever works.
Yeah, pretty cool. And Ouroboros, the snake-eating snake, perfect proof-of-stake model.
It helps people to reverse engineer history, too. They see a name, and like Damon did, go ahead and look it up, and then you're like, oh, got it, okay.
Yeah, so, Wikipedia is awesome.
Yeah, so Damon, I got a question for you. You know, you spoke about interoperability between other blockchains.
Correct.
We know there's a number of projects out there working to do that now. You know, one of them is Polkadot.
Okay.
Is it?
Well, they call them atomic swaps. Is basically they're creating an application that interacts with the, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum. What's that?
Steam.
Okay. So basically, with the atomic swapped, yeah, you could swap Steam for Bitcoin, Steam for Ethereum, and it's done in a sidechain through that application. The swap happens off the network, but it's referred to in the blockchain of whatever you have as your base blockchain to record that transaction. And that's where all the plus and minuses of the Bitcoin for whatever happened on the sidechain goes in. Basically, Cardano is expanding that functionality and making sure that can all occur with the expanded smart contracts.
So one thing that I keep reading about in these interoperability projects is that they're going to be able to keep security running between blockchains. And that always makes me wonder if that interface between the blockchains might create vulnerabilities.
Exactly. It's another point of failure. So the people that develop these projects, okay, your cryptography works in Bitcoin. Your cryptography works in Ethereum. Does it work in your application? Does the website or application you have the necessary security to prevent somebody coming in, altering it, invading it, stealing it? And a lot of people that don't understand information security are putting out ICOs, building applications, and they get hacked. Even the government's getting hacked. So we have to look at the peripheral security, not just the core security of the blockchain. And that's an important subject. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, for instance, I have antivirus software and firewalls on my personal computer. Do you think that's something we need to set up individually for ourselves?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't do anything with any blockchain unless I have both Windows Defender, Norton Antivirus, firewalls, and a VPN active. So basically you have all these layers to protect your physical security, and all of my crypto I have on a USB stick that's in a safe, that's in a hidden place.
That was one of my biggest takeaways from the first Cleveland Blocks meeting I went to, was that you cannot be lax in your own security of your devices.
Correct.
You really have to have that stuff set up. Like, I left there and I'm like, okay, I got to get my shit together.
We all need to get our shit together.
Right? Because, like, when you're just doing web stuff and just browsing and da-da-da-da-da, then it's easy to neglect and, like, let that stuff go. But when we're doing this stuff and in the future, like, you have to go through those steps to have all that stuff set up.
Yeah.
So
and
I
then the
appreciate you
weakness
giving
is an SSL on the web. That's proven to be weak. So there's new transport layer cryptography being used. And there's a lot of opportunities to expand what's already there. Don't think of the technology now as a destination. It's just today's. Tomorrow's different. Be a part of that change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always a concern for me because I keep looking at the number of hacks and the number of attacks on the exchanges, and I'm sitting out there going, this makes me very nervous.
Yeah, don't get rich quick making a coin. Get rich quick hacking another coin, and that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. You don't have to work as hard, right?
Yeah.
So on my PCs, I have a thing called Prey, and it's a laptop or desktop tracker. So if someone steals my PC, I can get on another PC and track down where that computer went to.
Yeah, and they use that on cell phones now, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's necessary. So John's called Prey, P-R-E-Y.
Cool.
So, okay, so we talked about the interoperability. I just had a current events question too that I wanted to bring up. I noticed that and let me try and find this on my PC here because I opened it up ahead of time.
Are you going to do a screen share?
I could do that, yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, let me open it up first. Okay. I always wonder about this stuff because where is it at?
I wonder too much. My DVR is hitting 100%.
You got to get rid of all the old stuff.
Okay,
that's what I'm doing. Selectivity. Yeah.
It's just sort of a quote,
CEO
but
of IOHK,
when I read this, it's like somebody's trying to set a flag up here, going, this could be a problem.
Yeah, Hacker News is awesome.
Yeah, I do. They come up with some great stuff, and they're not always asking me to buy stuff too. So. So they're saying here that the Cardano Foundation has locked up 648 million ADA, and being that's only 2.5%, I don't see that as a big, huge problem. But
yeah, 30 billion, that's not much at all compared to a lot of ICOs that might retain 20-30%.
Right. So I'm wondering here, first of all, why it would be totally locked up, because I read the article and I didn't get that out of the article.
I'd have to do a deep dive, because there's a lot of organizations that are, whether they're capital entities, development entities, management entities, that are all part of the Cardano environment. The Cardano Foundation is just one of those entities, and it's there to promote the Cardano environment.
Yeah,
and it needs to be self-funded. But locking up with the proof of stake, locking up is just called staking. You just hold it there and make it part of the ecosystem to back up the network. And right now the network's not completely live, so that's something that's going to be pooled to be part of the proof of stake system when they go live in 2019.
That leads me to another question, and one was the 51% attack problem that we see a lot of now. And I see that Cardano uses a system for staking or voting where they have slices. Could you go into that a little bit?
I don't have a lot of, that's one of the most complicated aspects, but basically with proof of stake, and it's important to go through a few things first. Everybody knows about proof of work, whether you're an Ethereum miner or you're a Bitcoin miner or a Dash miner or a Monero miner. Basically, you have to use a machine that finds a mathematical proof that has a unique, situation that needs to occur before a block is created. And then basically you get incentivized by the reward by finding that block. Now, instead of using all of that machine power and all of the electricity, and that's one of the issues that are scalability with anything that uses proof of work, Cardano came up with what's called Ouroboros. And that's a provably mathematical cryptography system that uses proof of stake rather than proof of work. So everything is in the calculation in the math. And it's a closed system, which is why they call it Ouroboros. It's the snake eating snake. You don't need any external activity like proof of work needs to generate the blocks. So what happens is with proof of stake, either you have your ADA, which is the innate currency within the Cardano environment. You either have it on an exchange as a trader, you either have it in your wallet, or you have it what's called staked. And this is where you lock up your ADA to make sure that it's being used as part of the Cardano environment. Now, once you lock it up and you can join a pool, instead of a mining pool, it's actually a staking pool. The procedures they have, in order to have a viable staking pool, you need to have at least 1% of the total available ADA that's been created to date, released to date, if you will. So those pools get together, and basically the people that have the Cardano are selected through the mathematical calculations in Ouroboros to be the generator of the next block. And it's done in a fair system. Basically what they use the coin flip, but basically you're coin flipping thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of machines to be selected. And they made sure that it was fair so that everybody has a fair chance, but it is a priority is given by the amount of Cardano you have, but that can't be selected again until everybody gets a chance to be one of those block generators. And that's important if you do have your ADA staked, whether it's in your own pool that you have on your machine or part of another pool, it needs to be up 24/7 so that when you're selected, you could generate that block and get the reward of ADA that's generated in the Ouroboros environment. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Simple, yeah.
You have the nerve to say all of that and then go simple as that.
I could have gone a lot deeper because the selection and consensus process is insane. Basically,
I looked at the process and it was like my head hurt after I got done looking at it.
Yeah, same here. That would take about a 45-minute slide with Q&A during it.
Wow. So one question that it raised to me was, what for like someone like me who's just, like I said, I would be more of an enthusiast of the project, what would be the best way to get involved with the Cardano project or platform?
Well, the first thing, go to Cardano.org. They have several websites. They have like the Cardano Roadmap, Cardano Hub, Cardano White Papers. Each of these different projects that have a cover name has its own white paper. So you can look at the network security. You can look at the transaction layer. You can look at what's going on with Daedalus. You can look at what's going on with Icarus, with the Rust project, with Yelly, with the KEVM, with Shelley, with Byron. All these white papers are out there. The most important way is to understand the system, keep track of it. One of the great things with everybody that's making Cardano, they're great about updates. They're great about roadmaps, and they're great about putting out releases on interactive videos or presentations online, whether it's on YouTube or on the website. Okay. So they're very communicative, very open, very transparent, and showing you what's going on this month, what's going on this week, what's going on in the next 3 months. And they're keeping to schedule, which is awesome.
I like it. I have a question. You watched our video.
Yeah.
Or at least some of it.
Okay.
All right. And they're seeing it right now. They're just seeing the VOD. They're not watching it, but they're seeing the Cardano overview and crypto market crashes. First, initial reaction to the show itself. And then secondary, how did we do in our overview?
On a scale of 1 to 10, you guys did about a 7, which is awesome.
Yes. Hey, listen, we're C students here.
Yeah.
Here, I don't know about over there.
Yeah, the only comment is Chaz's comment about AI, self-aware. It made me, laugh out loud huge. I didn't know if it was meant as a joke or not. It's basically, it recognizes its own protocol, and it views the other information along with that as part of the smart contract rather than something that it processes into the blockchain. So with the unique languages that are not used in other blockchains, it can differentiate itself between what's Cardano code versus what's another code that has to do with an application or that has to do with another cryptocurrency. So basically, it accepts what it knows, and it just either transports or rejects what it doesn't know.
I don't remember the comment I made, but
yeah,
one of my things is I try to keep track of AI and what's going on.
Yeah. True AI is amazing.
There is an AI system that's created a child AI, which is actually more proficient than itself. So it's able to replicate AI systems and become more and more efficient. And the analogy that I'll use here is the Africanized honeybee. That was an experimental project that went terribly wrong because they escaped and now are terrorizing the Central American and Southern United States. So my concern is that we're going to have an Africanized bee version of AI.
I don't think so. No, a lot of people that are in AI, there's some people, there's going to be, smarter than humans. Well, basically the way that AI is constructed, it can never be smarter than the people that constructed it. So basically, yeah, unless an AI creates another AI, basically it's limited by what humans program it to do. It can't do more than what humans can do. We don't even understand the human brain, so there's no way to create an electronic brain that can be better than our brain. It's human limitation. So don't worry about AI. We're going to use it. It's not going to replace us.
Okay. So in contrast to that, 2 experts that I've been following that are AI creators are concerned about.
Smart bots are the Africanized honeybees. So you got to make sure your bots are reined in and don't have any problems to interact or interfere with other systems.
Right. Okay.
Smart bots are, bots, I would say. Bots are a bone of contention in the Steam community because people have created bots that you can just bid and they'll do automatic upvotes on posts. And so people are getting into trending and things like that by taking the Steam or the Steam-backed dollars that they have and just using the bots and getting trending, getting, $100 to $300 per post because they're investing 70% of it to make that 20 to 25% ROI.
Yeah. Well, there's abuse there, just like there's abuse in the cryptocurrency markets, just like there's abuse in the Wall Street financial markets. It all has to do with humans, and that's where governance especially with Cardano, just like Bitcoin, basically creating the rules of what you can and can't do to make sure that, you know, those limitations are built in. But it all has to do with human ethics. That's what controls the technology. So one of the things is we need to get our ethics down before we get our technology movement forward more.
That's a good point. And you know, that's where, and I've talked about this with both of you guys and maybe one day I'll put a couple weeks worth of work into it, but having a national association for blockchain and cryptocurrency enthusiasts where it's all one person, one vote, and it's more tackling some of those issues, ethical issues of blockchain technology and development, and just organizing people.
Yeah, interoperability of humans before the interoperability of the different coins.
Absolutely.
You need a foundation.
Yeah, because we don't even. Yeah, I mean, we don't have interoperability. We can't even play nice with people that think differently on political sides of the aisle, and
Exactly.
so that's a good point. I'm gonna go through our slide deck for Cardano, and maybe we can just do a quick hit. What I'll do is I'll go through each slide, and if there's one that you want me to stop on, we'll stop there, and you can kind of just do like a rapid fire Cardano things that we might have missed.
Cool.
And then at the end of that, if trying to get my thoughts straight live. At the end, if there's stuff that isn't in the slideshow that you have in your notes, let's go through those and kind of wrap up Cardano, and then we'll go into Cleveland blocks.
All right, if we have time.
If we have time, yeah, and if not, we've talked about it. So.
It's all good.
Okay, I'm going to share it with you guys so you can see what I am going through as well. And then I'm just going to hit it, and then you'll tell me stop there. So those are our links. We do links before each show.
Okay.
And hold on, I got it. And if you guys that are watching, if you have any questions, or even if you have comments or things that you think are interesting, just go ahead and get those in there. And you can also dial in and come say hello. You guys know the deal with this show and with the Steaming Pile. You just go to zoom.us and hit that 468-186-430, or the dial-in numbers down there if you want to prefer to do it that way. So those are our links for the show. That's our Cardano Simply Explained video that we put in there. This is the team, the 3 organizations involved. And then items to be considered with Cardano: scalability, ID verification, interoperability, and sustainability.
Can we stop at ID verification?
Yep.
This one is important because I think that being able to identify somebody, it's always been a big deal in the financial industry.
Yeah.
You have some form of identification. You have a debit card. The debit card has data encrypted into it, plus some other information, so that they can identify you, and then it goes through a whole process of that card being identified through the system. I'm interested in this because I want to see how Cardano is going to make sure I am who I am. Any comments on it, Damon?
Yeah, well, basically the addresses are going to be linked up with legitimate businesses that are using the blockchain. So basically, say, for example, a proof of stake pool, you could do your due diligence and find out, hey, this is a legitimate pool. This address is associated with the pool. Other things, and it's called Know Your Customer. It has to do with the FinCEN rules to avoid fraud, counterterrorism, all that stuff. So those are legal things that are part of the financial networks that we use today. But basically, yeah, that's one of the obstacles with cryptocurrency. Some of them want to be anonymous, say, for example, Dash, where in this situation, when it's being used by legitimate financial institutions, you need to make sure that their addresses are linked up with their real world business. And that way you can prove, yes, this is their address. So that's the Know Your Customer as far as I understand it. But until I give someone my ADA address, they don't know it's affiliated with me specifically.
Right. How would they identify a let's say a rogue address or someone that's just creating a spoof on that? Do you have any idea?
Well, like somebody makes a fake pool, do your due diligence. If you can't find a business name listed under it in a, whether it's a Canadian registry or a Secretary of State, say with Ohio or another state, if you can't see that they're a real foundation or they're referenced somehow in the Cardano environment, say on their website, hey, these are the people that are involved, do your research to make sure you're dealing with the right people. Because there are bad players out there. There are bad exchanges out there. There are bad coins out there. There are bad people out there. And it's all about research, information, and verifying what you're getting into.
Okay, thanks, Damon.
Cool.
We'll move on now.
Rena Remedy from Wikipedia.
What's that?
The Rena Remedy from Wikipedia. Was that separate or was that a Cardano thing?
I think that might have been separate.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't sound familiar to me.
Blockchain scaling approaches, avoid or move work off the blockchain, tweak the parameters, small semi-closed groups, and solve the problem would be to rethink architecture.
And this would be the side chains that basically interact with a settlement layer rather than the computation layer. The computation layer is supported by the nodes and the pools, whereas your side chains are going to be creations, basically applications off the blockchain where all the transactions occur, like the Lightning Network in Bitcoin, like applications in Ethereum. The work is done there, and then the final results are settled on the Cardano blockchain. So scalability is not an issue with Cardano.
Okay. And then we talked a little bit about this earlier. There's a settlement layer and a computation layer for the future. So the current one is a settlement layer, but there's an initial layer too as well, right?
The initial layer, what do you mean? Because the settlement layer is what interacts with the apps. The computation layer is what does the which is what the smart contracts tell everything to do within the Ouroboros environment.
Okay. Okay.
So Daedalus basically is an application that uses and interacts with the settlement layer. That's your wallet. That's your full node wallet. And then there's Icarus, which is a lightweight wallet, kind of like a web wallet, if you will. That interacts with the settlement layer. And then the settlement layer reacts with the computation layer based on the smart contract or what the application is doing in the settlement layer.
So the settlement layer is kind of the main layer for Cardano.
Yeah, that would be like your ATM network, the cash network that's outside the bank. Okay. The computation layer is what goes on behind the scenes, say with the Federal Reserve Bank or overnight proof processing at a financial institution.
And is at the computation layer for the future, is that where the side chains and the smart contract type stuff is going to be built?
That's outside of the environment interacting with the settlement layer and the smart contracts. The programming of the smart contracts deal with the computation layer, but all of the coins or coins, cryptocurrencies, whatever, tokens, whatever, is on the settlement layer.
And they're just different apps or things that are
different layers within the Cardano onion, if you will.
Gotcha. That's our Manna.
Right now, it's in limited testnet, where you can either use the Ethereum virtual machine and use Solidity, or you can use the YELE, the IELE, that was recently made available in July of this year. So you could play around with smart contracts, test it, and the language is specific to the environment that you want to program with. And this is under the Byron testnet versus the LiveNet Shelley, which is coming out, and that'll be full decentralization of the real Cardano environment. And I think right now it's looking at third quarter 2019.
Gotcha. Okay. And we have input-output here. I think one of our things was identifying the actual team of the Cardano project was difficult. But these guys are...
It's not difficult. Go to the Cardano roadmap, and you can see the people that are responsible for each of the different segments of Cardano and each of the updates from all of the different teams. Now, you showed that team. There's 3 groups. It's more like 20 groups. Those are the primary groups, but each of those primary groups interact with their own subgroups depending on the projects that have been delegated to them as part of the development schedule on the roadmap. So go to CardanoRoadmap.com. There's where you're going to see the players and updates.
All right. We're going to do that live. So give me just a second. There's the Cardano chart. Is Cardano going to the moon, or is it a coin that's really going to stay
I don't think anything or anyone is ever going to go back to the moon. But to me, reasonably, I did a calculation actually last year, October, November, and if it were to match up with Ethereum, when Ethereum was at like 6 something, it would be $1.26. So now we have Ethereum at just the low 200s. So a third of that, just to match Ethereum, would be somewhere near 40, 50 cents. But being it's blockchain 3.0, I see it going higher. Right now it's trading about 7.5 cents. It wouldn't be unreasonable to see it in the $2 range. And if it, depending on the supply and demand at the time that more people get interested, most of the activity has been based on the roadmap of the testnet. The real hype is going to be built with interest when they go live on the Shelley blockchain.
And that's next year.
Correct. Right. And that's why if you want to get into the Cardano environment, if you want to use it, if you want to understand it, or make a profit if you're an investor, ADA to me is a long-term solid choice. It's a hold coin, not a short-term no.
So that makes me think that I have to go back up and do our disclaimer.
Yeah, I'm not a financial advisor. Yeah. I'm just a geek that does this for myself and collaborates with other people.
Absolutely, and we definitely appreciate that. And people that have watched the show before know that this is just a show, and we're not giving any recommendations to buy or sell. All investments discussed are for informational purposes only. So there's our disclaimer.
Do your due diligence. Do your research. Don't trust a third party unless you trust that third party.
Can you give me the roadmap site again?
Just go to cardano.org.
Oh, okay.
Let's start at the beginning. That's where I'd recommend everyone go. That's where you can get your dataless wallet, and that's where the links are for the other things, depending on the level of involvement. And the Cardano roadmap is linked off cardano.org, Cardano.
I got it. We have the Zoom room open, the broadcaster, the internet over here, and my laptop saying, "Dude, you're putting too much on me right now."
Too many tabs open.
Yep.
All right, and then if you scroll down, it's going to be the first selection of the 3 at the bottom. And this is just giving you a general summary of what Cardano is.
Oh, the roadmap.
Yeah,
right
if you click through, yeah, exactly. So I did a quick review this morning, and it showed all of the different parties that were involved, and I was like, wow, it just grows and grows and grows. IOHK in Hong Kong is the main entity that's working with other groups. There's a group in China. There's a group in Vietnam. There's a group in Singapore. There's European professors that are involved. There's American professors involved.
Why does Asia seem to be more in tune with blockchain technology than
I'd say population and necessity. And I think one of the big hurdles that held up blockchain and cryptocurrencies is the investment angle, which everybody waited for the IRS, the SEC, Congress to say yes. That held up things like 4 years. And basically, people were doing development instead of investing in coins. You can do development and don't have to wait for the SEC, IRS, or somebody else to tell you what you can or can't do. So that's one of the benefits of Asia, where America is used to all the standards that we have in America and want to do the right thing, where they're just like, hey, stopping me, let's do it.
Yeah.
We need to play catch up big time.
Oh, we do. We do. So I'm scrolling here. It's just it's not super fast.
Yeah.
Where should I stop? Just let me know.
Well, stop wherever you want to stop. What do you want to learn about? Do you want to learn about Shelley? Do you want to learn about the settlement layer? Do you want to learn about the quantum resistant signatures? But in each of these groups, it talks about what people are working on and where.
And now the community isn't the organizations involved, or that's the organizations involved. Are they the?
Well, but it's a community for other people to get involved if they want to get into developing.
Gotcha. So this really is decentralized at its core.
Correct. There's a human blockchain behind the actual blockchain, and right now, because it's in bootstrap and test mode, it's more centralized. It's not fully decentralized, and that's been one of the criticisms. It's like it's under development. You have to keep it closed. When Bitcoin first came out in 2009. it was basically just 2 or 3 people, including Satoshi. In 2010, early 2010, there was about 6 to 8 to 12 of us. And then when it hit the news for negative stuff, boom, it went through the roof in third, fourth quarter 2010. And that's when everybody got involved making exchanges, one of them being Mt. Gox.
Oh, boy. Mt. Gox.
It was really centralized until they got their stuff together. So during the development phase, it is not fully decentralized. Shelley's going to be fully decentralized. That's the go live.
Gotcha. Yeah, I stopped the share because I guess I'm asking my computer to do a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's not AI yet.
It's not anything yet, except for a pretty good laptop. I'm not going to talk down to my laptop because it's kind of like that. You say mean things to your car and it breaks down. Like I feel like I'm massaging it right now because I'm like, come on, we got to keep this going.
You need a cat.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, John. You're catless.
Well, we're nearing the end of the show here, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. I'm seeing if there's any other slides. There really isn't for Cardano. So, what did we miss? Like, what's that?
Go to meetup.com about Cleveland blocks.
Are you? Oh, right now?
Yeah, just show it. Yeah.
No, go, John. Just go.
Well, you guys already know I can't bring up websites here, so I will. I'll bring it up, and then while I'm doing that, and give it a chance to load, just go over if there's anything that you had in your notes that we might have missed about the project that you wanted to highlight.
No, the most important thing to focus on with Cardano, ADA is the currency that's within the ecosystem. It's proof of stake, not proof of work. The stake is done via staking pools. Daedalus is the wallet, the settlement layer, computation layer. It's in development under Byron. If you know Ethereum, if you know smart contracts, you can work on the testnet using the Ethereum virtual machine. So basically, anybody with Ethereum has a head start in understanding and being able to use the Cardano environment. And if you want to make solutions, now is the time to make a solution before Shelley goes live next year. So it's a great opportunity for developers as well as investors.
I'll be interested to see if there's anyone here that kind of like learns a little bit more about Cardano and then is interested in, because Steam's really trying to do the same thing too within their blockchain. I think everyone's trying to do that, is the smart contract piece. In Steam, it's called smart media tokens. And so one thing that interests me is, because I do like the Steam blockchain, I like what they have set up, will be what does interoperability look like, and what is possible or potential in the different environments. Because, I don't know, there's a lot of people, like you said in the beginning, that find their coin, and that's it, right? And that's the one that they work on, that's the one that they develop, that's the one that they care about and think is going to go anywhere. And as an enthusiast, I'm more interested to see what's the landscape going to look like 20 years down the road.
Yeah, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But look at the underlying blockchain. That's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. Understand the differences between Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, Steam, Cardano. If you understand the differences, you can see where there's opportunities for development and improvements down the road, which is pretty cool.
Good point. That's cool. And, yep, it's still not working. So,
yeah,
what's the actual, it's meetup.com.
/Cleveland-blocks. That's it. BLOCKS. And basically, instead of 45 minutes, we spend 3 hours every month from 11 o'clock a.m. to 2 p.m. talking about anything blockchain, anything cryptocurrency. A lot of things is just finding a common language so that we all understand what is what, instead of some personalized definition that can get spread out and get confusing. So using a common language in the whole cryptosphere is very important so we understand each other.
And that's what I like about the meetings that I've gone to is, and you also set the agenda where it's kind of an open discussion, but then it's more like the first hour you cover the basics, and then there's more intermediate if people want to stick around, and then advanced, you always make time afterwards for more advanced or more like specific conversations with people.
Yeah, creating a use case from what we learned about that day. How could we apply what we've learned? And then we take it to the next level. And that leads to collaborations with other meetups, other people, other organizations. And there's some neat stuff getting done in Cleveland right now with blockchain.
I see you have a Satoshi's Night Out coming up.
Yeah, on October 31st, in celebration of the 10th anniversary of Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, we have a 3-hour event. It's going to be at Terminal Tower at StartMart. You can register via the Eventbrite link. And because of the costs involved for the DJ, the food, and the drinks of everything, we need a minimum donation of $10. There's also like a VIP donation, a backer of $25. And also, if you're a poor, destitute hacker, barely paying the bills, we'll get you in for free.
We won't promote that part.
Well, it's there. I hope it doesn't disappear first.
Yeah, so, and that would be for anyone who's interested, right, in just hanging out and
general blockchain, and be like, hey, what's happened the past 10 years? What's going to happen the next 10 years? And it's more of a professional networking event for people to get together and talk without having a presentation, without having somebody tell you what you need to do or don't do. It's just, hey, let's just get together and talk and use this moment to recognize, hey, we're 10 years down the road in blockchain. It's pretty cool.
Yep. And then you have the Team Cleveland Blocks at the Blockland Solutions Hackathon on November 9th.
Yeah, November 9th through 11th, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Basically, it's to get the Cleveland community together, Case Western, Cleveland State University, developers, managers, get together, create teams, and have a hackathon all weekend and see what comes out of it. So that's pretty neat.
Cool. And then the next monthly meetup is November 17th.
Correct. And then the Solutions Conference, which is part of the Blockland Cleveland Initiative, is December 1st through 4th. That Saturday and Sunday is development training. And then Monday and Tuesday is when we have all our keynote speakers and speakers. And there's some big names coming. So if you're interested in the Solutions Conference, you can just go to blocklandcleveland.com, click on the table, and go to the conference for Solutions. It's unlike any other conference I've seen happen in the United States or elsewhere. It's pretty diverse. And
Yes.
it's focusing on blockchain solutions for business and government.
Yep, and they're doing a good job getting that set up. Real short time frame and turnaround to do that. So if any of you guys are interested, I've done a post on Blockland Cleveland. You guys can see the website right now. Any developers interested in just coming to that Solutions Conference, please do. And you can see that.
And there's a lot of grants out there for business owners as well as students. So take a look at all the information to see if it applies to you.
All right. Damon, thanks so much, man. This was a great show. This is one where we didn't really focus on the show, more just had you come in, but we focused on Cardano, I know, but you have a great history and great story to tell with regards to blockchain technology and things like that. So I appreciate you making the time to come in on Morning Coins.
No problem. I don't like talking a lot, but I'm passionate about it, and I've done a lot of research and have a lot of experience, and all I'm trying to do is share that. So I'm sorry if I talk too much.
No, it's great.
All right, cool.
Chaz, anything from you?
No, I don't. Nothing new. Just watching the market and starting to show some signs of life in places, and I think that there's thousands of cryptocurrency projects out there. Oh, here, I'll say this one. Accounting, Ernst and I can't
Young
did a study, and they're saying only 13% of the blockchain projects have a real operating system.
Wow.
Yes. There's a lot of people out there collecting money from ICOs, and I don't know if they ever have any intention of doing anything with it.
Yeah. Well, again, there's your due diligence. Take a look at the project. Who's behind it? If it's all aliases and no business entities, buyer beware, caveat emptor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Chaz, what's up? Do we know what's on the hill for next week?
No.
All right, so everyone check into Morning Coins with John and Chaz next Friday at 10 a.m. for a discussion on Chaz Doesn't Know.
Maybe we'll talk about cats. I don't know.
Well, we could talk about CryptoKitties. Remember that phase?
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
So, Damon, here's the last question for you. Are you ever going to come on this show again?
Absolutely.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Fun
everyone. Good conversation with Damon Ramsey from Cleveland Blocks. Check out Cardano, and we will see you next Friday.
Thank you all. Thanks, Damon.
You're welcome. Thank you.